Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to another live stream as part of the Adult Education Open Evening tonight. For this session, I'm joined by Matthew, who is from the National Career Service, and he's going to be talking to you a little bit about what this service is and why it's important to anyone who studies with us. As an adult learner, you will have access to this service, and there's a number of benefits that it can bring to you as part of your study and just your general life. So, Matthew, do you want to give us a bit of an overview of what it is you do and maybe a bit more about the service?
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Okay, so my name's Matthew Smith. I work for the college as a careers advisor on the National Careers Service contract, along with my colleague Keisha Beckford. And on the National Careers Service contract, we work with people 19 years and over. So tonight I'm going to quickly go through what we can help you with, as well as how you can get in contact with the service. So at the end, I'll get Nick to put up the contact details. So there'll be phone numbers and email addresses, so you can contact us while we're working from home, and then obviously to go forward, hopefully coming into the college. There's two of us based, two advisors at the moment based in the college. We cover Abbey Park campus, we cover the Freeman's Park campus and City Skills on Charles Street in town. So we sort of dot between those. And as I say, today I'm just going to quickly go through how we can help you. I mean, we can help with many things because we get asked quite a lot of different inquiries during the day. But on the whole, we get asked about job searching and applications, and those applications can be job applications or applications for college and university. We help people with put together CVs and provide feedback on CVs as well. Thanks, Nick. And also different roles that interest you. So, for example, if you're interested in going into nursing or teaching or whatever it might be, we can talk to you about the different paths that are available to take you into those roles. Look at the qualifications that you've got, and then work out with you what your next route is. Everybody we talk to, we create an action plan for, which is a summary of what we talk about, and we attach action points to those action plans, which are things that you feel are going to help you to move forward. So whether it's apply for a course, apply for work, whatever it might be, and those action points can be revisited in the future as well. Okay, so as I say, the National Careers Service is a government-funded scheme for those that are 19 years and over, to support access to employment courses, training, and voluntary work options as well. We work in line with policies and legislation, including, as you can see there, data protection, confidentiality, safeguarding, so ensuring everybody's users of the service, including staff, are safe, and staying safe online, so using the internet in a safe manner, because very often we might refer you to different websites, so it's important to be aware of how to use the internet safely. So we also work within what's known as British values, and we also have a customer commitment or customer charter. So both the British values and the customer charter or customer commitment there, as well as the staying safe online, is something that's a bit of a cornerstone of how we operate. The customer commitment is our promise to you in terms of how we will help you and how we will commit to supporting you going forward. As I say, that's more than just one interaction, because we can talk to you on numerous occasions, however often you need it. In fact, we often speak to people on 3, 4, 5, 6 times, depending on how they're getting on, and their action plan will evolve along those lines as they go forward. Okay. So, as I mentioned to you before, how can the careers team help you? Well, we can help you to work out what you want to study. So you might, as I said before, you might have an interest in going into a different area of work, or just feel you want to improve some skills, whether it's IT skills, administration skills, whatever it might be. And we can work out what course options are available, both in Leicester College and locally as well. What career options are available, maybe what you're interested in. Maybe you've got a few ideas and you're not sure what you want to do. And furthermore, what training options are available to you. So maybe regular courses or apprenticeships or internships or other things that might be available to you depending on what you're interested in. So as I mentioned to you before, we also help with CVs, reviewing them and writing them. So we can email your CV to us and we'll be able to give you some feedback on it, or just get started with writing it. Job application form support, so that's online applications, but that can also include covering letters as well, which is what you send in with a CV to introduce your CV to the employer. Interview skills and preparation, which is a big thing for a lot of people, is being able to prepare properly for an interview, how to handle they might feel that are quite difficult, and what we can do is help you to look at those questions and work out what employers are asking and possible responses to those questions, without necessarily sort of rehearsing them. And we could do elements of mock interviews as well. And again, this can all be done by contacting us, and I'll get Nick to put up the contact details at the end there. Okay, so moving on to the websites here that we very often need. So if we're looking at, for example, a teacher, a nurse, police officer, whatever it might be, and you just wanted to find out more about that role and the different routes into it, we generally use our own website here, the National Careers Service profiles there, or the Kudos site. And the job profiles have extensive descriptions of roles, what they involve, how you get into them, usually relevant industry contacts and things of that nature, so we can just find out together what the roles involve and if it's really what you're interested in, and move forward that way. And it may be a few things that you're looking at, and again, we can help you to try and decide which one's going to be best for you. We can also help with volunteering as well, which is something that's important. That's what's up now is the City Skills Centre courses, which you can look at doing, and as you can see, there's a number there that are available to you, many of which can be done online, and a lot of the courses are being delivered online at the moment. But hopefully, as we go forward, what with the news yesterday, we can get to a point where we're starting to deliver courses in person. In terms of volunteering, we can also advise on that. That can be an important part of career preparation, and also finding out about different areas of work. So, for example, teaching support is working in schools is a good way of finding out more about the classroom environment. Working in a hospital as a healthcare assistant is a good way of finding out about that environment if you're thinking of going into nursing. You can volunteer for your local counselling services to a certain extent if you think that is something that you feel you could be interested in. So almost like as a bit of research, and it's something we can incorporate as part of your action plan if you think it would be helpful, and you wanted to do it. As you can see there, help you put experience on your CV, can increase your confidence, developing skills. If your first language isn't English, it can help you to develop your English skills a bit quicker. And they're just some of the websites that you can use to search and apply for voluntary positions. But also just contacting employers directly is also a good way of finding out about those options. Okay. So moving on to follow-up support. As I said at the beginning, you can contact the National Careers Service advisors either over the phone. We have work mobiles that I will give to you, but we also have individual and also a group email that you can send your inquiries to, and in that way, whoever is dealing with the inquiries on that day will either contact you by phone, email, or Microsoft Teams, depending on how you wanted to be contacted. And we go through the careers process with you, the careers guidance process with you, explore your options, explore what you're interested in, and work towards putting together the action plan, as I mentioned to you. Now, in terms of where you would find that, that screen there, as you can see, it's under student support. college life student support, you see the drop down menu there, and under student support would basically be your options. Click the career service. Now you see there's a number of options there, including the welfare service, but you do have the option to select contact the career service. You'll be asked to fill out a form, so name, address, contact details, and a little bit about what you want to talk about, and then that would come to us, and then you'd be contacted by an advisor, usually within 24 hours. And yep, and here's the contact details. So the first email address there is the group email box, which is what I was talking about, where the emails go in, and then we pick them up from there. And then that's my email address, Matt Smith at leicestercollege.ac.uk. That's my colleague Keisha K. Beckford at leicestercollege.ac.uk. There are phone numbers that you can call, and that's just the National Careers Service website that you can use. And on there is a lot of careers information. So there's job profiles that I mentioned before, where you can find out about different areas of work, what they involve, how you get into them. There's information on there. You can find courses on there. There's information on there about looking and applying for work, as well as many other things on there if you just want to have a root around a little bit. But that sort of concludes this little bit of the presentation. That was a bit longer than 10 minutes, but thank you, Nick. That was the last slide.
No worries, thank you, Matthew. That was yeah. Hopefully, that's given people a bit of an idea of how the National Careers Service operates, what kind of service you provide for people. I can imagine a lot of the people who are watching have got questions about this. So if you do have any specific questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, drop us a comment with your question, and we'll do our best to answer it. Obviously, please make it relevant to what we're talking about. We can do our best to answer other questions, but it might get a little bit out of hand.
Yeah.
So one thing I'd like to touch on, Matthew, would just be a little bit about what you think this service, why you think this is important to people who study at Leicester College. You know, obviously at the moment, people are even more than normal in need of support in terms of careers advice and careers changes, perhaps. So maybe just give us a bit of an idea of how valuable that can be by using your service.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. I mean, well, the way I look at it is in terms of when we're regularly in college, we kind of regularly work alongside curriculum, the other careers team, because we've got a careers team that deals with 16 to 18 years as well as student support. And I look at it as a kind of a streamlined service. So if you're in the college and you're working towards your GCSEs or your level 3 qualifications, such as an access to higher education course, or whatever it might be, or vehicle mechanics, whatever it is, and you're coming towards the end of your course and you're not sure what you want to do next, then you might want to speak to one of the advisors, and we can go through your options. So you'll have a level 2 or a level 3 qualification. What are your options next? Do you want to go to university? Do you want to go into work? Is there other training options available for that particular industry that you're interested in? So we'll definitely be able to help with that. Or if you're on a course, maybe you're a third or halfway into it, you're not sure if it's right for you, you're not quite enjoying it quite as much as you thought you were going to do, we'd also encourage you to come and see an advisor as well, because then we can talk about the issues you're having with your course. Is it to do with the subject, or is it to do with the setup, and what your options are for moving to another course, or again going into training, maybe studying the same area but looking at other ways of getting into it. So we don't, as careers advisors, we don't sit there in our little rooms in isolation and just offer careers advice and don't talk to anyone else. Very often when I'm in the college, we're constantly talking to tutors and other staff members, so it becomes the careers service becomes a part of the learning experience in many ways. That's how I look at it. And we're a referral service as well, so we can, where we can't help immediately, there's usually a third-party organisation that will be able to help. Something I did want to mention as well, and I forgot to mention, was we can also help to convert overseas qualifications to those in the UK. So if you're educated in a different country and you've moved to the UK, and you have your qualification certificates, you can email them to us or bring them in person when we are back into the college. And we can use a website called NARIC to find out what they are the same as in the UK, verify that, give the learner the certificate, and they can use that in their future job or course applications. And that's something we do quite often. And I've meant to mention that. I can't believe I missed it, but there you go.
Well, yeah, that's a really good service. I can imagine it's really valuable to people to to give them their options for study. And I guess a lot of people who are tuning into these live streams tonight are going to be exploring different subject areas and different options available to them. So it's probably quite useful for them to be thinking about career paths and things like that. And there might be people who are looking to change career at the moment, and it's really useful to kind of get that in your head before you decide on what direction you might go in with your study and things like that. It's always good to have that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've got a few questions pre-prepared that come up quite often, or might be useful for people to know a bit more about. So if you don't know these out and just see if you can help me with a bit more information on it. Yeah. And also, as I said, if anyone's got any specific questions who's watching, please feel free to comment and we will do our best to answer. So you mentioned earlier about the different areas you can help people, whether it's careers advice or getting them onto placements or apprenticeships and things like that. One thing that adult learners might be interested in is the prospect of adult apprenticeships. I don't know if that's something that's still offered. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I mean, adult apprenticeships, all apprenticeships are essentially adult apprenticeships, but younger people have traditionally gone into the apprenticeships because employers have just followed that model. I believe they might benefit financially from employing younger people, but increasingly apprenticeships are being offered to at higher levels and to higher age groups as well. So it used to be where an apprenticeship or youth training scheme or a version of that in the past was a work-based learning, working as a trainee, but that's now something that is an old-fashioned model, because that would usually only go up to sort of level 3 or A-level standards. But you're now getting apprenticeships by definition, not necessarily just for older people, but because of the qualifications required to get onto them, would tend to be for people that have been in education longer. So that might be degree apprenticeships and things of that nature. So that could be working in a local council, working for the NHS, or other similar industries where those apprenticeships are offered, and they are increasing in popularity. It used to be where they existed, these higher level apprenticeships generally that older people would go for, but there wasn't that much available. But now it's a way of getting a degree qualification without spending 3 years at university and actually doing it on the job. And it's just a different option, because everybody learns differently. It just becomes a more viable option for people who just aren't very good in the classroom but are brilliant learning things practically and learning by doing. So those are opening up, and even with regards to the pandemic, I see that being something of quite a large growth area moving forward in the next few years.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's good to know that those options aren't limited by age or when you decide to go back into education. And I guess another one of those things that's important for anyone maybe going back into education as an adult learner would be what challenges they might expect. Do you think that there's particular challenges that come with going back into education, and what kind of advice do you think you could offer on that?
There's a few challenges, and everyone comes to it differently. So there can be the fact of being out of education for many years. It can be quite intimidating to go back into the classroom. Sometimes maybe someone in their 30s thinks they're going to be sat with a bunch of 16 and 17-year-olds, which very often isn't the case. It will be that they're actually sat with people in similar situations, that are people that are returning to education. Another thing that I do find quite a lot, and this is because of, again, sort of patterns that are built up. So if you've left school or college at 16 or 18, and you've worked for 15, 20 years, and you've got that 9 to 5 work pattern, and maybe you've got a house and you've got other bills, maybe you've got kids, dependents, you've got all extra responsibilities that you didn't have when you left education. So those things can impact decisions that are made, but that's what we're here for, so we can help you to explore what your options are and try and help you overcome some of those worries and natural concerns. There are facilities at the college. There's a creche at the college, and these other things that are available that can help people in certain situations. But yeah, I mean, a lot of adult learners, by definition, those at 19 years and above, who we deal with, do tend to be people that are returning to education or going for a second career. And also, if they've had a poor experience before in education, then that is going to inform very often their expectations going forward. So there's a few ways in which we can try and alleviate their natural concerns to help them relax a little bit when it comes to returning to education.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you say, there's quite a few facilities and things in place at Leicester College to help people with that, with that kind of challenge of returning to education. And yeah, I think it really matters to a lot of people.
Yeah.
We're nearing the end of the session.
Okay, that's quick.
But I thought, yeah, it's gone quick. Time flies. I think hopefully we've managed to cover a lot of the key points. I was going to ask one more question, just because I thought this might be useful to people right now. I know one of the skills or the services that you offer is giving people advice with CVs and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Wondered whether you want to, just for the closing of this, whether you wanted to hit people with a few tips of what they might be able to do for their CVs, or anything. Have you got any top kind of advice or do's and don'ts?
Do my best. Just usually based on what I've done for a few things. Always try and tailor the content of your CV so that it matches the job you're applying for. So if you've got a job and person specification and the employer is asking for certain things, you to have experience and skills in certain areas, make sure you include that in your CV. Treat your CV as a sales document, in that you are selling yourself to the employer. And ideally, there shouldn't be some waste of space on there. Keep it to 2 sides where possible. There are exceptions, but 2 sides where possible. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, CV is an exercise in being concise. So it's all about trying to communicate quite a lot of information in a relatively short space of time. Really, 2 sides. It's not much. So keep it relevant. Keep it to 2 sides. Also, try and tell the employer a little bit about yourself. So while keeping it professional and everything, there's also a section on the CV called skills and achievements, and that's where you can include things where you've been recognized for maybe things in the community, or you've won awards in or out of work. If it's relevant and it says something about you, then include it in the CV. And I would always say include a covering letter, even if you're not asked for one, because a covering letter is an opportunity to provide more information about yourself, introduce your CV, and you can tell the employer a little bit about what you know about them in the covering letter as well. So why not? But actually, I really like looking at CV, so I'm happy to give feedback on them all day.
Nice. Well, yeah, I'm sure you've seen quite a few, so that would probably be really helpful to a lot of people. So yeah, thanks so much for joining us today, Matthew. It's been interesting for me to find out a bit more about what you can offer, and it sounds like a really valuable service to a lot of people. And I suppose I should add as well, this is an impartial service, and I believe you're accessible to anyone, whether you're a student at the college or not.
Oh yes, of course, yeah. Sorry, yeah, we are completely impartial. That's the crux of guidance. It's to give the individual information and help them take control of their own situation. And yes, we're based in the college, but as a service, we're open to everyone over the age of 19. Can we put the sorry, I meant to say, can we put the contact details up again?
Yes.
Or I just drop that on you?
No, it's all right. There we go.
Thank you. Yeah, so thanks, Nick. So I'm saying that's just the ways in which you can get in contact. But that information is on the Leicester College website under the student support section that we looked at as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think that's me.
Brilliant. Well, thanks a lot for joining us. And yeah, please do visit the Leicester College website and check out the National Career Service to find out more. Thanks a lot, Matthew, and have a good rest of your evening.
Thanks, Nick. Cheers.
Cheers. Take care.
You too.